Hey everyone, it's Matthew. Today I have another video for you, and this is inspired by definitely one of my favorite spring candies. Yep, that's right, you probably guessed it, I'm using Peeps in this dessert. I'm going to be making Peep cream puffs. So they're going to be cream puffs that are decorated to look like little peeps, and they're going to have a marshmallow pastry cream filling. So, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is just take our stick of butter, which I've just chopped up so it melts a little bit easier, and then I'm going to add my milk and water mixture, and I'm using milk and water because it really makes the texture of the cream puff a lot better. So we're just going to melt that down, and then once it starts bubbling a little bit, we don't want to get too much steam because then it'll cause our cream puffs to like almost explode in the oven. We're going to add our flour, and then you're going to want to take that off the heat, stir it together, then put it back on the heat and cook it for 2 minutes, and this actually activates the gluten fibers to absorb the egg, which we're going to add later. Okay, so now we're just going to add the eggs one at a time, and we don't want to add them 2 at a time or 3 at a time or even 4 at a time because that'll cause the mixture just to become curdled, and even if you add 1 egg and it starts to look curdled, that's okay. If you just keep on mixing it, it'll eventually come all together. And be careful not to mix it too fast because you don't want to overmix the batter. Okay, so our next step is just to fill our piping bag with our Pastry batter or cream puff batter, and we're just going to pipe out little discs onto parchment paper or a silpat if you have one, and then you're just going to bake that in the oven at 450 degrees for 15 minutes, just so it can puff up and the tops can gelatinize in the oven and it becomes hollow, and then you're going to want to bake it at 350 degrees until it gets golden brown. So now I'm just going to make a ganache, and I'm going to double dip the cream puffs in the ganache at the very end, and I'm going to make some yellow ganache and some orange ganache for the beaks, and I'm pretty much just going to do this by adding extremely hot cream to some white chocolate chips, and then you're just going to whisk that together and add food coloring. And I find that it helps if you get a clone of yourself, but you know, don't know where you would find one right now, so since we don't have that technology, just do it separately. We'll make one big batch and then dye 1 yellow and then 1 orange. Okay, so to make the pastry cream, we're just going to start out by adding our whole milk and sugar into a pot and just letting the sugar dissolve and the milk start simmering. And then we're going to have to brutally murder some peeps. Yeah, I started out by cutting their heads off, just get the job done, and we're going to actually melt that into our pastry cream once we're done making it. So next we're actually going to mix our eggs, flour, and sugar together. And you can also use cornstarch instead of flour, but I'm just using what I had on hand. And then you're going to actually temper the eggs, which means that you're going to add a little bit of milk into the egg mixture so that the eggs don't scramble once you add it back into the pot to thicken the pastry cream. Okay, so now we're just going to add some marshmallow fluff, a little bit of butter, because we always need butter, and our chopped up peeps, and we're just going to melt those down. And there's your pastry cream. Okay, so the last step, well, almost last step, is to puncture all of the cream puffs with a little piping tip, or you could use like a knife or something. Just be careful, and then we're going to fill our pastry cream, which I've just cooled for a little bit, to a pastry bag, and we're going to pipe in the cream into each cream puff. So pretty much how I assembled them, while my ganache was still too runny to really use, was I double dipped the cream puffs. So I dipped them in the ganache once, let that kind of dry a little bit, then I dipped them again so they'd have a thicker coat. And then I just piped a little beak on, which was the orange ganache, and then I added 2 candy eyes. And you can also just pipe on 2 little eyes with the orange ganache if you don't have the candy eyes. And that's it. And these are really delicious, and these are pretty cool. That's all you have to do, and that's it. We're finally done with this recipe, and I think they look pretty nice, and they taste amazing. Thanks for watching.